Hello viewers, I'm your host Uzma Jafri with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with Pakistan, whose new leadership immediately after assuming the office has extended an olive branch to India and Afghanistan. The two countries who have repeatedly accused Pakistan of nurturing and fostering terrorism from its soil. Imran Khan says that this government's endeavour would be to make Pakistan a better place. A report.
Amid a slew of socio-political, economic, security and foreign policy challenges, the chief of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf (PTI), Imran Khan, takes over as Pakistan Prime Minister. As soon as he grabbed the seat in Islamabad, Khan looked forward to improved ties with neighbouring India and Afghanistan, which Pakistan has had fraught relationship with for over many decades. The already strained ties tumbled when Pakistan-based terrorists attacked an Indian army camp in 2016, killing dozens. Indian army had later retaliated with a surgical strike on Pakistani soil. While addressing a press conference in Islamabad, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, who held the same portfolio from 2008 to 2011 under Pakistan People's Party government, urged New Delhi to step forward in direction of dialogue.
और हिंदुस्तान की वज़ीर ख़ारजा से मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि हम दो न सिर्फ हमसाए हैं, हम दो एटमी क़ुव्वतें हैं। हमारे दरीना मसाइल हैं, उन वसाइल से आप भी वाकिफ़ हैं और मैं भी वाकफ़ियत रखता हूँ। हमारे पास मेरी राय में गुफ्त शुनीद के अलावा कोई और हल नहीं है।
Pakistan's relationship with Afghanistan have also been on tenterhooks, mainly due to accusation by Kabul that Pakistan does not adequately prevent cross-border terrorist attacks and has been supporting Afghan Taliban. Pakistan government has pointed towards a complete review of its foreign policies. The minister said that he would visit Kabul in the near future, taking him with a message of friendship and new beginnings.
अफगानिस्तान के लोगों को कहना चाहता हूं, हम एक दूसरे की ज़रूरत हैं। हमने एक दूसरे का सहारा बनना है और हमने एक दूसरे की मुश्किलात को न सिर्फ समझना है, उनका हल तलाश करना है। और हम में सलाहियत है कि हम बायलैटरली मिल बैठकर अपने मसाइल का हल तलाश करें।
Owing to its unrelenting support to extremism and terrorism, Pakistan has virtually been cornered internationally. Of late, it has found itself getting isolated. The country is also facing the possibility of being blacklisted by Financial Action Task Force, an international body that monitors the funding of designated terror organizations. However, the immediate and the biggest challenge in front of Islamabad lies is to dismantle the factory of terrorism, which has been operating under its patronage for decades. The terrorists and terror emanating from Pakistan have been dampening the peace and harmony in India and Afghanistan. And a major challenge for newly elected cricketer turned Prime Minister of Pakistan is to maintain peace in the region by eliminating terror from its soil.
Soon after Imran Khan was sworn in, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi sent a congratulatory message to his counterpart, which according to Pakistan leadership was indicative of a dialogue initiation between the two countries. We are now joined by Tilak Devashar, an Indian diplomat turned author who has an expertise over Pakistan's domestic and external affairs. His book Pakistan at the Hem was recently launched in Indian capital New Delhi. Mr. Devashar, Pakistan's newly elected Prime Minister Imran Khan has extended an olive branch to India and Afghanistan. Do you think Pakistan is really willing to walk the talk this time or just repeating the rhetoric of the past?
You see, whenever there is a new government, either in Pakistan or anywhere else, it provides an opportunity to make these statements that sound very good. But unless and until there is a follow-up after the government is in the governance mode, these statements will just be that, good intentions rather than anything else. So I would not at the moment read too much into these statements. I would wait and watch to see what comes from these statements, whether it is carried forward or not, or whether they just remain at the level of statements.
Mr. Devashar, what according to you is the immediate challenge in front of Imran Khan and how his government should be working in order to counter it?
The immediate challenge for Imran Khan is, two, three very major issues. First is that he himself has to come out of the dharna or the protest mode that he has been in the last 5 years, and he has to settle down into governance. He faces a wafer-thin majority in the National Assembly. This force is 176 votes he got, and the majority is 172. He has to consolidate his position and make sure that it's a stable government. And third, I think, will be the economy. Pakistan's economy is on a very slippery slope, and they will have to approach the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, for a massive bailout for about almost $10 to $12 billion. And they'll have to negotiate with the IMF, and the IMF is bound to put some very strong conditionalities before giving that loan. So the economy will be a real priority for him. He will also have issues like the civil-military relations. How much will the army concede space to him, and how much he will be able to wrest control from the army. So these are just the immediate issues. The long-term issues of Pakistan in terms of water, in terms of education, in terms of population, these are very serious issues, and I've written about them in my book. Far more serious issues, and it will take him time to resolve these issues.
It is being alleged that Imran is a puppet of the deep state of army. How true, according to you, is that? And do you think Imran will be able to run country and form policies at his own wishes?
You see, it is certainly true that the army did carry out what's called political engineering to clear the path for him and to make sure, one, that the Nawaz Sharif's party PMLN did not come back to power. They smoothened the way for him. But if you look at Imran Khan's own character, I don't think so he will be a puppet. He will certainly not be a willing puppet. He's a man of his own. He's very determined. He has a lot of focus and a lot of determination. So I think somewhere down the road, if he is pushed too hard, the army may find that this is not a very comfortable puppet to work with. So yes, the army has, and he's also aware of the fact that he's been brought into power because of the engineering done by the army. The army will allow him space. They will allow him time to continue to do policy, especially on the domestic scene, not so much in the foreign affairs. But if there is a conflict, and I don't know, let's see if there is a conflict or not, because Imran Khan is a very determined person and he is his own man.
It is a well-established fact that Pakistan has been nurturing terrorists and providing them a safe haven on its soil. Do you see Islamabad formulating a stronger policy regarding this in the near future, especially at a time when it is finding itself getting isolated at the global stage?
Pakistan will not do this willingly. The army or the establishment or the deep state, whatever you call it, they will not do it willingly. But right now, the international community has started exercising a lot of pressure on Pakistan. You may have heard of something called the Financial Action Task Force, which is for countering terrorism financing and anti-money laundering. They have put Pakistan on the grey list, and Pakistan has to fulfill certain conditionalities very soon over the next 1 year, including legislative enactments, to make sure that they don't get on the blacklist. Coming on the blacklist means that their economic relationships with the rest of the world will get into question. So, because of these compulsions and the pressure of the international community, Pakistan will be forced to take a look again at its policy of supporting terrorists for foreign policy purposes, both against India and in Afghanistan. Whether they actually manage to do something concrete, time will tell. But yes, there is pressure on Pakistan, not that they're willing to do it on their own, but because of the international pressure, which must be sustained if Pakistan is to stop supporting terrorists.
Thank you, Mr. Devashar. Moving on. POK, the occupied territory of Pakistan, has for years been misruled by Islamabad. The government has turned a deaf ear to the pleas and demands of residents and in fact has meted out socio-political and financial atrocities on them. People, however, unfazed with the mistreatment, have been resolute on their demands. They have regularly been carrying out protests and demonstrations. Have a look at one such protest held by locals against the local authorities.
Blessed with snow-clad mountains and fascinating landscapes, Tharar-Khel region of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir has the potential to draw thousands of visitors every year. However, owing to a poor infrastructure, locals are living a life of misery, let alone welcoming and providing any hospitality to the tourists. From roads to hospitals, education to medical care, the situation has grown increasingly dismal due to authorities' negligence and apathy. Time and again, the locals have carried out demonstrations against the local authorities, seeking an immediate intervention into the situation, but the authorities have turned a blind eye to their plight.
वज़ीर आज़म रियासत का होता है या किसी एक का होता है? रियासत का। जब वज़ीर आज़म बन जाए, अभी इमरान खान पूरी रियासत का होगा या तहरीक इंसाफ का? तो फारूक हैदर पूरी कश्मीरी कौम का वज़ीर आज़म है या खाली नून लीग का? सबका ना। तो फिर हमारा उससे मुतालबा है, हमारा उनसे मुतालबा है कि जनाब फारूक हैदर साहब, अगर आपका इंतजामिया का कोई भी आदमी आप तक हमारी ये बात पहुंचाए, हम अर्ज करते हैं, हम मजलूम बेबस के बेकस हैं, हमारा कोई नहीं, हम लावारिस हैं। तुम ये समझो कि तुमने हमारा असेंबली में कुछ रखा है, हमें कुछ नहीं मिलता। हम भूखे प्यासे परेशान, सड़क नहीं, अस्पताल नहीं, हमारी ये बात तुम तक पहुंच जाए।
With no light at the end of the tunnel, even after 7 decades of Pakistan's illegal occupation of the region, people across the region of POK are grappling with abject poverty and underdevelopment. They have not only been meted out a stepmotherly treatment, but been subjected to atrocities whenever they have asked for their due share of rights. However, an unprecedented rebellion seems to be shaping up against the authorities, and the local leadership says that no force can dampen their spirit to realize their goals of a life free from misery and atrocity.
हम अव्वल दस्ते का किरदार अदा करेंगे। मुश्ताक शहीद साहब आगे खड़े हो, हबीब साहब आगे खड़े हो, शबीर इनकलाबी साहब आगे खड़े हो। अगर हम पीछे से हट जाएं तो हमारी जिंदगी पे लानत है। आप गोलियां बरसाएं, हम आगे बढ़ेंगे। तुम हरकड़ियां ले आओ, आगे बढ़ेंगे। कफन पहनाओ, आगे बढ़ेंगे। फंदे डालो, आगे बढ़ेंगे। जब तक मरकज नहीं करेगा, पीछे तहरीक चलेगी इंशाअल्लाह, रोड बनेगी इंशाअल्लाह, माल बनेगा इंशाअल्लाह, बनेगा इंशाअल्लाह।
Islamabad has repeatedly called the region of POK as its own, but has denied it of any right. It has plundered the region of its natural resources, disturbing the ecological balance. But the money has mostly filled Islamabad's coffers. The residents of POK in return have found themselves at the receiving end, natural resources looted and money not spent on them.
With the new government in Islamabad, the people of POK, the beleaguered citizens, are expecting good days ahead, which are highly unlikely as per the experts. Moving on. Amid deadly attacks by Taliban, the Afghan government has once again tried to reach out to the insurgents by announcing a 2-month ceasefire. In a bid to achieve peace with insurgents, President Ashraf Ghani recently made this announcement. We have a report.
Afghanistan remains volatile as the Taliban and other terror outfits continue to carry out attacks in the country to destabilize the government in Kabul. Recently, the Taliban forces attacked 3 buses near Kunduz and kidnapped hundreds of passengers. Afghan forces carried out an operation to free them and rescued 149 people. Few of them still believed to be in Taliban hands. The Taliban has staged numerous attacks across the country in the past 2 weeks. The most spectacular was a major ground assault on Ghazni city, which left more than 200 dead and buildings in ruin. Fighting raged for 4 days until US airstrikes and Afghan commando reinforcements finally drove out hundreds of insurgents. While speaking during a ceremony to mark the 99th Independence Day of Afghanistan, President Ashraf Ghani announced a ceasefire with the Taliban insurgents from August 20th to mark the Muslim Eid al-Adha festival. The government wishes to maintain peace and stability in the country by inviting the insurgents on the negotiating table.
و برای آن که هموطنان ما روزهای عید قربان را در فضای آرام و سلامی سپری نمایند، بار دیگر سر از فردا دوشنبه که روز عرفه است تا روز میلاد نبی مشروط بر این که طالبان نیز در این ایام خجسته آتش بس را اعلام و رعایت نمایند و یا تا هر مدت که طالبان با آن متحد باشند آتش بس را اعلان میکنند.
Ghani's ceasefire announcement was limited to the Taliban and excluded other militant groups such as the Islamic State.
د طالبانو په رهبري غږ کوو چې د واقعي او دوامدار سولې لپاره د ملت ارادې ته لبیک ووایي او د ملي او اسلامي ارزښتونو په رڼا کې د سولې مذاکراتو ته چمتووالی ښکاره کړي.
Blasts, suicide attacks and clashes between the Taliban and Afghan forces killed over 1,600 civilians in the first 6 months of the year, the highest number in the past decade despite June's truce. In a report published by UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, 42% civilian casualties were to the Afghan Taliban and 18% to the Islamic State.
Moving on to Nepal, where the parliament has ratified a regional treaty on combating terrorism and controlling illicit drug trafficking under the framework of BIMSTEC, the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. The ratification comes ahead of the 4th BIMSTEC summit scheduled to be held on August 30 and 31 in capital Kathmandu. A report.
The lower house of Nepal's parliament endorsed a table proposal of BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation Convention focusing on security. The treaty, named Convention on Cooperation in Combating International Terrorism, Transnational Organized Crime and Illicit Drug Trafficking, aims to enhance cooperation between BIMSTEC member states to combat international terrorism, transnational organized crime and illicit drug trafficking.
र यो सहकार्यलाई विस्तार गरेर यो अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय आतंकवाद र अन्तर्देशीय संगठित अपराध र यो अवैध लागू औषधको कारोबार सम्म विस्तार गर्ने उद्देश्यले यो महासन्धि यो अभिसन्धि अगाडि आएको छ र विज्ञान र प्रविधिको विकासले एउटा तीव्र गतिमा एउटा भूमण्डलीकरण विश्व एउटा सानो एउटा इकाइमा परिणत हुँदै गइरहेको छ र यसले एउटा नयाँ समस्याहरू विश्वको अगाडि सबै राष्ट्रहरूको अगाडि आएको छ र त्यो भनेको आतंकवाद, संगठित अपराध र यो लागू औषधको जो कारोबार हो यसको चरित्र पनि यो अन्तर्राष्ट्रियकरण हुँदै गइरहेको छ र सबै राष्ट्रहरूको अगाडि यसको सामना गर्ने, यसलाई निस्तेज गर्ने, यसलाई नियन्त्रण गर्ने एउटा ठुलो समस्या पैदा भएको छ। त्यसकारणले यो समस्यालाई समाधान गर्नको निम्ति एउटा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय वा क्षेत्रीय स्तरमा एउटा सहकार्य आवश्यक भएकोले यो अभिसन्धि अगाडि आएको हो।
In the view of combating terrorism in the region, the BIMSTEC member countries had signed this regional treaty in December 2009 in Myanmar. Though the convention had been approved by all the BIMSTEC member countries, Nepal was the only country that did not give its nod. The Home Minister asserted on the importance of the proposal to combat terrorism, which is gaining a foothold across the world. All members of BIMSTEC are likely to participate in the regional event, which will be hosted by Nepal on final 2 days of this month.
Nepal is currently the chair of the BIMSTEC. Established in 1997, BIMSTEC groups India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka and Thailand. Moving on, flying kites during festivals is a tradition in many countries and this has gradually become a popular sport. Kite flyers from across the world participate in international competitions. One such event was recently held in Sri Lankan capital, Colombo. Take a look.
Tens of thousands of people flocked into the Galle-Face Green Park to witness the second Dharana International Kite Festival, where as many as 3,000 enthusiasts from across the country and abroad launched their kites, adding colours to the grey and cloudy sky. People from across the island nation as well as foreigners assembled at the park in Colombo, not only to participate in the kite flying competition, but also just to see the sky getting beautified with kites of all colours filling it. While it was only the second time they were organising the festival, Lokaya Saha Lokayo, the organisers made public their aim of making it an annual festival. Locals too suggested for the festival to be organised in other parts of the country.
ඉතාම විශේෂයි මම කියනවා මම දෙන්නට යෝජනාවක් කරනවා මේ ලංකාව පුරාම මේ සැනකෙළිය පවත්වන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඉතාම විශේෂයි.
According to the organisers, this year's International Kite Festival attracted contestants not only from Sri Lanka but also from India, China, Nepal and Singapore, among other countries. Many tourists were also spotted at the popular seaside promenade who hailed the organisation of the competition.
This is my first step to Sri Lanka. To me, Sri Lanka is very nice. The people very good and very polite. And then competition today is very good, well organized. And then so it is a bit crowded only because it is a program with so many kites. After all, it is very good.
Kite flying is a popular sport in the South Asia region, and the recent competition in Colombo was a mesmerizing experience for kite flyers.
Hundreds of kite festivals are celebrated every year in India alone. Now I leave you with some images of Lakme Fashion Week held in India's showbiz capital, Mumbai. Goodbye and take care.